by the referee against Staunton. You tell me I've not been like this all time.
I don't think so, no.
Oh, Tom.
That's on YouTube, that though. It's scheduled to go have to. It didn't.
Yay.
I feel like I can hear it when it is.
I'm just going to pretend like that's not happening.
Right, so.
Boston threatened to break away here. Spencer manages to get a footing, thankfully, for Avenue, and the attack breaks down thanks to a combination of Spencer and Richmond. Shoving the back of Doherty surely as the defender came over the top of him. Nothing given. Ball just bouncing about. Scrappy between both times. Lancaster does well to come away with it. And it is in towards Preston. Preston up against the defender, and he does manage to just shepherd it back to his goalkeeper. Thankfully for the away side. Preston momentarily looked as if he was in. And Becker now picks it up for the away side. Gives it into Pollock. And Pollock does well to give it back into his midfield and across to Tom Nixon, who's a right back for the away side today, already looking to get in and amongst the attacks. Starting very high up the pitch on this right-hand side up against Staunton. Probably knowing that the home side will be sat quite deep. Avenue style tends to be that they will look to break and counter rather than be on the front foot. Certainly prefer to be without the ball than in too much possession. Tom Platt now for Boston and comes across to Nixon. Nixon goes back into the defensive line to Cummings, and Cummings goes across all the way to the left side now, where the midfield just dropping in to help out. Jordan Crawford with a mixture of Ben and Scott Pollock. Boston just keeping some possession, not in no rush to go forward. This time they do go long, however, in towards Pollock, who gets a good flick on into the number 10, who does get a shot away. It comes off Gianluca Haven and out for a corner. It was a half chance for Jake Wright, who just spun in behind after the flick on from Pollock. Haven did well to get across and just make sure that nothing came of the shot, but there had to be some effort to beat Sykes Kenworthy from that distance. Apologies to you all if you are only just now receiving a feed from ourselves. You missed some fantastic action as well. Unbelievable. However, YouTube decided not to go live by the sound of it. We are here now with myself, Jason Booker, live on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. The corner is whipped in and it's headed away well by a Dunstan. Drops for Crawford, and Crawford looks to get his head up and give it back to Mbeka. Mbeka checks away and goes back to Crawford. Crawford stands up his man and does deliver. It's a poor cross, and it's cleared away well by Staunton. Doherty trying to do the job of the target man, gets in and amongst the defenders, can't quite get hold of the ball, and it does break nicely for the away side. McIntosh now picks up the ball on halfway for Boston. Step over, can't get away from Staunton. Staunton does well. It drops to Richmond in the midfield, who goes left-footed across to the new man Preston. Preston gives it into a Dunstan. A Dunstan checks back and gives it to Fielding. Fielding's got time on the ball. He comes across to Mitch Lund, who's under no pressure, really. Boston just looking to sit a bit deeper when Avenue have the ball in their own half, not putting too much pressure on the ball. Likely knowing that Avenue not that comfortable with the ball at the feet, and they will likely eventually send it long. Preston and Doherty, neither really the diminutive figure of a target man. So they would expect to be able to deal with most of the long balls in towards them. The diagonal would be probably the better use of the ball and following in on seconds. Richmond does well. Wins a throw-in to the home side, deep into Boston territory on the far side. Looking like decent numbers from both home and away support here today. Around the 350 mark would be my prediction. Cold evening for sure. Still dragging the support out from the local Bradford community. It's nice to see. Doherty checks back on his left foot and does deliver well. It was a good delivery by Doherty. Not many options in the box, unfortunately. Headed away by Haven. Run over the top, and Lancaster's left to deal with it. Drops to Mbeka in the midfield, and Mbeka does give it away to Doherty. Doherty does well. Wins the ball back high into Boston territory. It does come all the way back into the Avenue half. with Fielding. Poor ball in towards Preston, and unfortunately misses him and goes all the way through to the Boston back line. No real talking points of notes here. 14 minutes in, Avenue 0, Boston 0. Very little between the two teams. And Boston no. That's a good ball actually forward here. Lancaster should deal with it. It is offside actually. The linesman raises his flag on this near side. No need for Lancaster to clear. Yeah, there's not much between the two teams in the league. Not much between the two teams in this first 15 minutes either. Neither team certainly will want to concede an early goal and give themselves a mountain to climb. Avenue this season really have done quite well at not conceding early. It's been later on into games that they've struggled. Actually, Avenue have taken early leads more than losing early or conceding early. It's not something that's to be expected. Having now with some calm possession for Avenue at the back. Looking up for options. Again, they're not having Blythe to go into long. Certainly limits Avenue. Dangerous pass by Lancaster, and Pollock stepped in here. Pollock up against Fielding. Pollock onto his left foot. Checks it back to the edge of the box, and it's over the bar from, I believe it was his namesake in Ben Pollock. No, it wasn't actually. It was Jake Wright who dropped in a little bit deeper. Picked up the ball, hit the shot right-footed and over Sykes Kenworthy's bar. Very sloppy by Lancaster as they looked to spread the play across to Staunton. Didn't have anywhere near enough power to get to the left back. Long here now by Lancaster, and it drops for Preston. Preston brings it down on his chest. Good first touch. Looks to check away from Mbeka, and Mbeka, according to the linesman, gets a touch on it to take it out for a throw, and it looked like a foul to me on the low knee. Avenue, as always, needing to make the most of the loan market, and once again they have done this season with the likes of Angel and Preston more recently, Lancaster as well, just to get that little bit of extra quality that they may not be able to attract otherwise. Doherty skipping away from a couple of tackles there. Looked like it was foul, but nothing given. And Becker does really well further away side, and it's broken for Pollock, and Pollock knocks it away from two and over the head of the defence in towards the right hand side, and it's shanked over the bar by the right back Tom Nixon, and out for another goal kick. Dangerous moments on Scott Pollock, really showing his quality in behind the attack line. Jake Wright looks to be playing more as the number 9, the out and out striker in the team. Scott Pollock in and around him behind in that more attacking midfield role, doing really well. Certainly will be the threat from the away side today. 10 goals in 15 games. Nothing to be shirked at any level. Certainly done enough to earn a contract after playing for #United in the Football League with Northampton Town. Knowing that he made appearances for Northampton Town in the Football League as well. So to find himself now back in the Conference North is something that he, I would imagine, wouldn't want to be sticking around with for too long. Kept in really well here by Boston, and it's gone all the way back to the left back, who does use his centre defensive partner, who's looking to spread the play towards Nixon once more. Nixon does really well to take it down on his left foot. It's good defending by Staunton, who has his shirt pulled, left with no option but to stop, and a free kick to the home side. Really good touch by Nixon on his more unfavoured left foot. Took it down dead, but the momentum that he carried from himself allowed Staunton to just nick in and reclaim possession. Back underway with the Sykes Kenworthy goal kick. It's flat, and it gets a little bit lucky that the first person it finds is Fielding, who did miss the ball, and it drops to Mbeka. And Becker played more right side for Guiseley last season and did extremely well for Guiseley in a team that ended up finishing bottom of the league, I believe. Certainly getting, unfortunately, dropping down a division with relegation. Himself and Princek Polo saw him on many occasions for Guiseley last season, both playing extremely well and both finding themselves with moves back into the Conference North upon relegation. Becker finding himself in more of a centre midfield role today, and he is a huge presence, 6'4". Avenue now with some good possession high up the pitch. Preston looks to square it across to Dunstan. Dunstan takes a touch, gets his head up, and does dink it in towards the box. Keeper thought about coming but stayed, and it drops now for Spencer, and it's just wide of the keeper's left hand post. Good effort by Spencer. shown himself to be a good striker of the ball. The wonder strike, probably up for a Puskas award if we're honest, away at Scarborough from the halfway line earlier on this season. That was some strike, a moment you had to be there for, really. Followed up by a strike at home, who was actually our top scorer for a fair chunk of this season. Once again, Pollock wins the flick on. Linesman gives a throw in to the away side off the back of Mitch Lund's head. Referee's not going to let them take it from there. He's got to go back. Shirley Nixon does carry it some 10 yards back and goes back to Cummings alongside him. And Ben Pollock alongside Cummings look to have options into the midfield, but nothing given this time. Cummings goes forward. It's flicked off of Doherty, who put good pressure on. Pollock looks to spin away from Lund, and Lund does well to give it back to Haven, who clears. Good work by Doherty to just win the flick on there. Nothing given on this occasion, however. The ball bouncing about between the two teams in midfield, and Becker does really well again. And Becker looking to dominate the battle in the midfield. Ball's broken nicely now for Doherty, and Doherty spins away from two and gives it back to Staunton. Staunton into Preston. Unfortunately, it goes out for a throw-in. Poor pass by Rhys Staunton. Quick 1-2 between Pollock and Nixon stands on the ball. Surely it's a foul against on Staunton, sorry, and it's not. It is now. Spencer and Cummings coming together. Cummings walks away. I think it's probably a good idea. You do not deal with Jamie Spencer in that way. Lovely fella off the pitch. Ferocious in the midfield for the Avenue. Referee sorts the problems out. The handbags get put away. And we'll get back underway with an Avenue free kick just inside the Avenue half. With Lancaster now. Lancaster checks and goes across to the right hand side. It actually changes his mind completely and goes all the way back to Sykes Kenworthy. Sykes Kenworthy just looking for options. Again, they're not wanting to go long early. Staunton with the flick on. Great flick on by Staunton. That's the target that Avenue need to aim for. If they're going to go long, is into Staunton, who is good in the air and has got the natural size. Preston and Doherty, both probably 5'10", 5'9", something like that. Not going to be the target man that they need. Back underway with the throw-in from Staunton into Richmond. Richmond does foul the midfielder. Richmond stands over him and tells him to get to his feet. There wasn't really much in it. It was a foul, it was a free kick. I can understand Richmond's frustration with the theatrics of Cummings. Actually, it's not Cummings, sorry, I can't say. The blind spot of the gantry, as you know, does cause a problem. Still down on the ground at the moment. I will report who it is shortly. I believe it's Becker. It's Becker who's down for the home side. Not that you'd ever want to wish an injury, but so far, if we could have one missing for the away side, it probably would be the tall midfielder. Certainly had a good start to the game. 23 minutes in here at the Horsefall. Still Avenue 0. Boston United 0. Both sides just taking the opportunity to take on a few fluids. And Becker gets himself to his feet. Stumbles off over to the side. Little hobble. I'm sure he'll be fine to continue. Neither side really imposing themselves on the game as of yet. Boston probably with the better of the chances. A couple of half chances more than anything. Jamie Spencer for the home side probably with the best effort for Avenue. Striking the ball a fair few yards wide. Probably 2 or 3 yards wide earlier on from the edge of the box. But I certainly think that Avenue won't be unhappy with their start to the game. Boston have got some good players. They're probably underperforming this season a little bit, given the position in the league. Doherty brings it down well, turns really well. Fantastic little Cruyff turn, and then fortunately doesn't get the pass right. Thankfully for Avenue, it bounces kindly for Fielding, who gives it to a Dunstan. And Dunstan gets his head up, looking for options. Once again, though, back towards having the movement within the midfield, just lacking slightly to give the team options to build attacks. Go all the way back to Sykes Kenworthy. It'll be interesting to see whether Matt Bauer has just decided that Jacob Blythe won't play today, with games coming thick and fast and resting after only playing 3 days ago, or whether we will see him at some point. I think this would be a game that the management team would have earmarked to win. Fantastic touch by Doherty, and unfortunately he's offside. Yeah, I think this would have been a game that the management team would have earmarked for 3 points at home against Boston. And Becker now back on his feet and back underway. Dinks it out to the left-hand side where he's found Crawford. Crawford checks inside onto his right foot. He's got an overlap run for him. He decides not to use him, goes back onto his right foot, dinks it into the box. It's taken down well by Paul Wright, I think it is, in a crowd of players, and eventually cleared well by Mitch Lund. Wearing the number 11 today, playing centre-back. I think you see that too often in a 1-11 team sheet, but that's where we are. Restarting, keeping hold of the number 3 shirt. Ball just gone out of play. I think we've not lost it. It's come back. We've only got 1 ball apparently. Down for a throw-in on the far hand side to Boston, halfway inside the Avenue half. Second is cutting well, and here's Pollock. It's cleared away well by Spencer. Doherty does well to knock it into Richmond, and Richmond turns away well to keep possession and gives it to Lund, and Lund got it wrong. Unfortunately, it's dropped out for Pollock on his right foot. Fantastic tackle. What a recovery by Mitch Lund to bail himself out. That's a huge tackle. Some 10 yards out. Pollock had set himself to shoot on his right foot. The goal at his mercy. Sykes Kenworthy to beat, and Mitch Lund came out of nowhere to just get a foot in and out for a corner to the away side. Very, very sloppy by Mitch Lund to give the ball away in the first place. However, we got away with it, thankfully. Avenue with a corner to defend now. It'll be taken. Right-footed. Crossed in by Nixon. It's headed away well by a Dunstan. Pollock will pick the ball up. He's going back towards his own goal. He dinks it in to and Becker with a nice little flick on, and Sykes Kenworthy gets there first. Good alert goalkeeping by the Avenue number 1. And Becker with a flick round the corner. And threatened to get right in. Lancaster goes long now in towards Richmond, and it's over the head of Richmond into Doherty. Doherty does well to get there first. Brings the ball down, checks away from his man, cuts away with another Cruyff turn. And unfortunately out for a Boston throw-in right by the corner flag. Opportunity for Avenue to pen the away side in the corner. Every time Doherty gets on the ball, he has that little bit of quality that sometimes Avenue do struggle to find elsewhere. Just has the ability to turn away, beat a man, bit of pace. We know he's got the finish. Platt now for Boston. And it ends up all the way back with Long in the Boston goal. Staunton with the header. It's handball off of Nixon. His hand was high in the air. I don't really think there was any intention, but the header was blocked by the hand of the away fullback. And it will be a free kick for Avenue just inside the Avenue half. Staunton goes all the way back to Lund. Lund into Fielding. Fielding turns in the midfield and looks to go diagonal towards Richmond. It's a good ball, and Richmond brings it down really well on his chest. Looked like there was a suspicion of handball, but play on nonetheless. Dunstan with the overlap wins the corner for the home side. Come on, the Avenue! Big set piece opportunity. They are the moments Avenue tend to thrive on the most. Would imagine it'll be either Fielding or Staunton to take. Tends to be one of the two that usually line up on certainly the deliveries anyway, not so much always the strikes. It will be Staunton. It'll be an in-swinger from the far hand side by the clubhouse. Staunton left-footed now, delivers. Oh, the keeper made a bit of a hash of that. Went for the punch, got something on it, but it dropped nicely and it almost went straight in. Blocked well, and here's Dunstan. Some 25 yards out, he's getting no option but to go back to Lancaster. And Lancaster needs to deal with it quickly, and he does. And he goes all the way across, and unfortunately out for a throw-in halfway inside the Boston half. Momentarily, it looked as if the young goalkeeper, Sam Long, had missed that, and it was just going to go all the way in. Thankfully for him, he managed to just get a touch to it, which kind of carried it away from goal. Not out for another corner. Back underway here in the midfield with Boston. looking to forge an attack of their own, and it's cleared away well by Haven. Ball now breaks for Cummings. For the away side, is put under immediate pressure by Spencer. Nixon goes left foot into the midfield towards where Fielding is with the head anyway, and it's dropped now. Oh, it's a good tackle by Haven. I think Haven's won the ball fairly there. He's in a 50-50 challenge with the attacker running straight at him at speed. Haven gets there first. The player falls to the floor, claiming some contact. Maybe a brush of the studs. I think it's a harsh free kick anyway. Sam McClintock does win it, and he gets on with it quickly. Gives it into Pollock, and Pollock with a tame strike, thankfully pretty close to Sykes Kenworthy, and he's able to save quite comfortably. But once again, Scott Pollock is the man that is creating the most danger for the home side. He's getting in between the lines, in between the midfield and the defence. Lancaster now goes long. Avenue starting to just play it up into the attack line quicker. Unfortunately, they are giving the ball away more often than not. Dunstan looks to step in there, and he's put himself a little bit out of the game as the ball breaks for McClintock, and McClintock looked to release Pollock quickly, and it's broken down for Boston now. Back in Avenue possession. Staunton cuts inside. Left with no option but to go back on to his left foot and go back to Mitch Lund. Lund goes back into Staunton. Staunton turns and dinks into the channel. Doherty's there ahead of Cummings, stretching away from his man. And Doherty did really well, and he's frustrated with himself that he couldn't make more of it, but there wasn't really much more he could have done. Wright drops the ball off. A great tackle by Staunton. Unfortunately, it is going to carry with the momentum of the tackle all the way out for another away corner. Staunton winning the tackle some 25 yards inside his own half, and somehow it ends up going out for a corner. Once again, it will be McClintock that comes across for the away side to take the corner on this near side in the blind spot from the gantry. Everybody back for the home side with the exception of Brad Doherty. Two men left back to kind of deal with his danger. Pollock went short, but it was played in. Sykes Kenworthy flaps at that a little bit. Wins a soft free kick. Not really anything the attacker for Boston could have done there. He just kind of stood still. Sykes Kenworthy chose to throw himself over him, and having you win a cheap free kick, it's danger averted, I guess. 32 minutes on the clock. Avenue 0, Boston 0. Certainly, I don't think today a point is a good point for the home side. At some point or another, you have to pick up all three, and at home games against teams in and around you certainly are where you would be looking to pick up the majority of them. For Boston, a point away from home is always a good point. They'll be the happier of the two sides so far, especially given the lack of real threat at the goal of the away side so far. One really James Spencer effort and a floated in corner caused the most problems for Boston. Possession now back with the away side, and Becker plays it into Platt, and Platt goes out to Pollock. Pollock gets his head up on this right hand side, chips it in right footed. Dunstan kind of deals with it, and it spins kindly for Sykes Kenworthy back to him off of a couple of bodies. Dunstan really got his feet in a bit of a pickle there, a bit of a mix. Thankfully for Avenue, it fell nicely. Sykes Kenworthy will go long straight from his hands, all the way over halfway in towards Preston. Preston gets up well and did take it down, but under the challenge, unfortunately, lost his footing, and the ball breaks now for Nixon on the right hand side. Nixon gets his head up, carries the ball forward. Doherty puts him under pressure, drops into Pollock, and Pollock goes back into Platt. Platt into Wright, and Pollock looks to switch play towards the left back. I've not seen too much of so far. Keenan Ferguson, ex-Tottenham and Sheffield United man, starting his career in Yorkshire before dropping down to London. Never making the grade at Spurs, but certainly good training and tutelage nonetheless. He's found himself now here at Boston United. Cummings now picks up the ball just on the edge of his own box. He's put under pressure quickly by Richmond. Plays a 1-2 nicely with McClintock, and McClintock looks to set the away side on the attack once more, and it goes all the way across to Ferguson on the left-hand side. Stepped with well by a Dunstan. Gets his foot there, but he's doubled up on. Ferguson gets the ball back, goes right-footed into Crawford, and Crawford's picking up spaces all over the place. Gives it into Mbeka, and Mbeka turns out and gives it to Nixon on the right-hand side now. Boston looking for the gaps and the spaces in the Avenue backline. Not many being given so far. Here's Nixon on the right-hand side. Decides not to cross too early. Goes back to McClintock. McClintock chips it into the channel, and Mbeka gets there first, and it's played into the box. It's dangerous. Haven deals with it at the second time of asking. And out for an Avenue throw-in. Mbeka got in a little bit too easily there, darting into space, into the channels from deep. And under no real pressure, just lofted it into a dangerous spot, edge of the 6-yard box, and thankfully for Avenue, there were nobody really diving in on that area. Jake Wright, not really known as a number 9, and probably where a natural number 9 would be. Back underway here, and Wright does take it in well. Gives it to Pollock, and it won't go out for a Boston throw-in. And Mbeka deals with it in the midfield. It drops now for Nixon, and Nixon flicks it, and it will now go out for an Avenue throw-in. And Wright did really well with his back to goal there to bring the ball down and allow some assistance to get in and around him. Haven and Lund have dealt with Wright well so far. Certainly got some talent, but playing in a quite an unnatural position for him today. Preston does well to win the flick on, but nobody getting in and around the seconds. Finds that a bit frustrating. The Avenue number 10. Ball now out with Ferguson. Gives it into all the way back to the keeper, who chips it out towards McClintock and out for an Avenue throwing. Cheap giveaway of possession. But Dunstan gets on with it quickly and gives it into Fielding. Fielding back to Lancaster. Lancaster comes across to Haven. I see the recycle of play quite often between the Avenue backline. Certainly when they're looking to just keep possession calmly. Sykes came with the left with no option but to put it onto his left foot and chip it into the channel. Platt did well in the midfield. More naturally a centre-back, so his first touch not probably what he's known for. Doing well in that defensive midfield role. Cummings underneath this header and out by McClintock. Drops now for Fielding. Halfway inside the Boston half. Crawford does win the flick on. Look to get it towards, play it in the direction of Brad Doherty, but nothing going for the home side on this occasion. McClintock now, as Boston look to set up another attack. Nixon plays it down the line into Wright. The ball by the fullback. Wright now with his head up. Will chip it in towards a box. Sykes Kenworthy will get there first. Certainly a part of his game that he's extremely good at. Sykes Kenworthy is coming and claiming lofted balls. Fielding carries the ball quickly over halfway as they look to set up a counter-attack. Fielding spreads the play really well to Staunton. Staunton, not much options. He's going to have to go long or go back. He doesn't. He decides to try and take on 2 players. Staunton plays it into the channel. And it's defended well, and unfortunately for Avenue, comes back off Staunton and out for an away throwing. Avenue just need to provide more options for the ball carrier in and around the midfield spaces. So far, when they get up to halfway, the options are limited. Avenue playing off scraps really and playing for set pieces. It's always going to be difficult to win games with relying on odd moments. Certainly something that Blythe does allow is the long ball. So far, Preston and Doherty, unfortunately, it's just coming back a bit too quick. They have limited the away side, however, to minimal chances, couple of half chances. Pollock has been a danger in and around the home box. This last 10-15 minutes or so, there's been minimal. Referee couldn't wait to give a free kick there, unfortunately, against Jordan Preston. He complains the foul against Cummings, the centre-back. Not really anything in it, but it's one of them that always seems to get given in the favour of the defence. Sam Long now will take the free kick just inside his box, on his far and right-hand side. Goes long. In towards Wright, and Pollock. Wright gets there first. It's a good flick on. And this is a dangerous moment. Dunstan lets it go over his head. He judged that really well and clears it down his right hand side, where Mbeka picks it up in the midfield for the away side. Mbeka now back to McClintock. McClintock with his head up, looking for a pass. Drives towards Spencer. It's forced out to the right hand side, where Pollock has now picked up ball. Crosses in left-footed right, heads it back across. It's headed away well by Lund. It drops now for McClintock once more. Pollock just picking up positions wherever he can find space. Found himself on the left-hand side after spending most of the game on the right-hand side. It'll be delivered in now well by Ferguson. And it goes all the way through to Sykes Kenworthy, who judged it well. We are just going to have a small break in play, as I believe it's Gianluca Haven who's just taken a knock and does need some physio treatment. It has been a bit of a feature of Luca's season this season. He's taken knocks and bumps. We've seen him miss games and miss moments in games through injuries and knocks. Yeah, I got the attendance way wrong today, folks. 471. I guess at 350, but some attendance from the Avenue fans today. Thank you very much for joining us at the Horsefall. Fantastic to see. While the Premier League is away especially, and England are on duty. Has to be said that so far, today's game has probably been as entertaining as the England game last night. Given the perspectives on the ability on show, that says everything about Gareth Southgate's team and performance last night. However, pick it up on Tuesday again as we go and play the Welsh. For their performance against Iran, we'd be hopeful for a comfortable 3 points there. We top the group. Come on, England. Two minutes before half-time. I'm pretty sure that I've just been speaking to myself for the last 15 minutes or so yet again. However, nothing new there, I guess. We are back underway. Some safe Boston pressure. Possession. And Becker picks up the ball just outside his box. Puts Platt under quite a bit of pressure. Platt left to go back towards his own back line. And a switch of play towards Pollock. Probably been my man of the match so far. The midfielder done really well, buzzing around, picking the ball up, looking for the spaces and the gaps, and Pollock chips it in behind. And here's McKinlock, and it's played in, and it's straight through Sykes Kenworthy and into the back of the net. think it was I think it was Jake Wright, sorry, for the away side. The Bradford lad finding the back of the net, right on cue. Fantastic pass by Pollock. Found the channel where Nixon had got in behind Reece Staunton. Good cross across, and really all Jake Wright had to do was get it on target. Plays it straight at Sykes Kenworthy's legs, really. Nothing Sykes Kenworthy could do as it goes straight through his legs. In right on the stroke of half time, really, as the board is shown for 3 minutes of added time. Worst time for Avenue to concede. It's not the first time that's happened this season. They may not concede early, but they have conceded in and around half time on a number of occasions this season. They find themselves going into the second half more than likely behind. Huge disappointment for the home side. Not really been much in the game. The better of the two sides probably have been the away side. However, Avenue have limited them to a few chances here and there, but they've not created much of their own, unfortunately. This is a huge 3 points, or it would be a huge 3 points today for Boston in their fight against relegation. Don't find themselves far away from the bottom three as it stands, and an Avenue win. It's a 6-pointer, really. It's a good old-fashioned 6-pointer. Avenue would find themselves only 3 points behind the visitors with a win today. However, 9 points clear should they lose. The teams in and around them, depending on results today, ever growing away. It's a hard gap to pull back once it's created. As we found out earlier on in the season, however, the boys did fantastically well throughout October to find the goals and the points, and the goals that brought the points, to climb back up the table off the bottom. We're finding it with Telford at the moment. Telford, classic ball, and Preston takes it down fantastically and hits the side netting. It's an unbelievable pass by Sam Fielding, right to left. Jordan Preston takes it on the outside of his right foot into his path, straight into the line of path where he can just strike it first time. And unfortunately for Preston, it came more on his unnatural left foot. Decided to take it with the outside of his right foot and hit the side netting of the near side. Fantastic effort, fantastic chance. Best moment of the half for the home side. And Fielding with a wonder pass. Drove it in right-footed with the laces. Preston will be disappointed not to hit the target. Be disappointed not to score, but certainly disappointed not to hit the target. Hopefully doesn't let that linger on his mind too long. Avenue have shown that they've got a route back into this game though. Fielding once more picks up the ball in midfield. Goes left foot and straight out of play. It's a part of the game that Sam Fielding really struggles with in the midfield. We say that on the back of that fantastic pass a minute ago, but under pressure, his passing, his distribution, unfortunately, too often goes out of play or goes back to the opponents. Certainly think he's more natural in the back line. And there is the half-time whistle. Park Avenue wouldn't have been unhappy going in at half-time 0-0. Find themselves, unfortunately, going in one behind to a fantastic goal that, it has to be said, great build-up play by Scott Pollock, and managed to get Nixon in down the right-hand side, who crossed well for the ex-Bradford City man, Jake Wright, to finish from around 6 yards out. Nothing Sykes Kenworthy could do. We'll join you just shortly before the start of the second half. We'll run through the latest scores from the Conference North, but at half-time it is Bradford Park Avenue 0, Boston United 1. A very warm welcome back to everybody joining us for the second half. We're moments away from the start of the second half. Come on, the Avenue. Let's find a way back into this game. Start off before the start of the second half by just bringing you the halftime scores from the Conference North. AFC Fylde 1, Alfreton Town 0, Banbury United 0, Chorley 0, Blythe Spartans 0, Brackley Town 0. Bradford Avenue obviously 1-0 adrift here at home at the Horsefall against Boston United. Curzon Ashton 2, Telford United 0. Find themselves still rooted to the bottom. Hereford 1, Darlington 1, Kettering Town 0, Southport 0, Kidderminster Harriers 0, Gloucester 0, Leamington 0, Peterborough Sports 1, Scarborough Athletic 0, Chester FC 0. Over a year they've not lost at home, Scarborough. Impressive. They should have lost to us at home, however. Anyway, and Spennymoor, Kings Lynn obviously postponed due to Kings Lynn being in the FA Cup today. Unfortunately, they went down 3-0 losers at home to Stevenage of League 2. The live league table, if we have a quick look at Blythe and where a point would leave them on 18-2 in front of Avenue. So we don't lose touch. They have played a game less, however. Kettering find themselves on 20 points. The bottom 4 going down this season and 4 relegation spots. So not coming away from here with anything today would be really disappointing for Avenue as they take on Buxton, who are only on 21 points themselves next weekend away from home. Plenty still to go out though for Avenue. Certainly don't want to be getting too despondent at this stage. 45 minutes to go, only 1 goal behind. Certainly are capable of finding a way back into this game. And we get back underway with Avenue. The second half, kick off. They do go instantly long from fielding. The vision has just darkened dramatically over this last 15 minutes. Spotlights, floodlights obviously doing their jobs, but just a dark tinge over the ground, over the playing area at the start of the second half. Maybe just a small eye adjustment. And Becker now picks up the ball for the away side on halfway. Good turn in the midfield, and the players out wide. Dunstan should be able to deal with it. Does carry it all the way through. Really good work by Dunstan. Ooh, little kick-off in the corner. Dunstan and Jordan Crawford, I think it was, just squaring up. They still continue their little afters. The referee just watching them. Can't wish to meet a nicer lad than Lucas at Dunstan as well, so certainly isn't somebody really that needs to be picking a fight with. Back underway now, and McKinlock just picks it up in the midfield, and it's cleared away well by Cummings. Goes all the way across to the opposite side where Staunton gets a straight back on the offensive, and Doherty a little step over just to look to get away from Cummings, and it goes out for an Avenue throw-in on the far hand side, some 15 yards up from the corner flag. Back in play, Staunton in a 50-50. Unfortunately, Avenue give the ball away really sillily there, and they do give away a free kick as well in the corner. And allows Boston to get themselves out. It was a foul on Pollock. How's your touch as the ball goes up in the air? Nobody fancying taking that first time. What can Avenue do differently at the start of the second half to try and find a route back into the game? It'll be Long, the goalkeeper, to take the free kick just outside of his box on the right hand side. Goes long and Fielding's there. Does win it at the second time of asking. Hoofs it high into the air. Richmond in the challenge in the midfield. The ball breaks nicely for him now, and he goes across to Dunstan. Dunstan picks his head up, drives the ball over halfway, gives it into Preston, and Preston goes back to Lancaster. Lancaster drops the ball off to Richmond. Richmond goes left-footed across to Mitch Lund. Lund picks his head up, is looking for options. He's got Preston on the far-hand side if he wanted to switch. Staunton gets his body in front of man and ball and manages to keep the ball away from his man. Does really well and plays it in quickly to Spencer. Spencer finds Staunton on the overlap again, and it comes back off the defender and out for a throw-in on the far-hand side. Pretty much bang on the corner flag. Staunton will take the throw-in. Needs options. He's not got a long throw in his arsenal, really. Does find Doherty. Staunton now just looking to get the space to find a cross. He's left with no option but to go back towards his own goal, and it's broken nicely for Mbeka to clear. Mbeka goes into Wright, and Wright does really well as a target man kind of role there to hold the ball up, and the ball's now broken for Pollock. Pollock drives over halfway. Referee needs to blow his whistle as both Wright and I think it's Mitch Lund get involved in fisticuffs. Don't think there's any actual swings. Why do you never see a punch actually thrown when these things happen? I'm not really sure what the answer is, but they pretend like they want to do it, but they actually never do. The referee just needs to sort this out. Again, just a case of handbags. So he calls both players towards him. The right call probably would be to give both players a yellow card here, just to kind of stop any needle trying to assert his dominance. He asks the linesman what he saw. I can't quite see. The referee definitely is going to go to his pocket. Mitch Lund, I'm sure it's Jake Wright who's going to be called over as well here. Just a break momentarily, folks. Sorry, I will report anything that once something happens. It looked like very little actually occurred between the two. Probably something was said. A little bit of shoving here and there. Yeah, 2 yellow cards by the referee. It is Jake Wright and Mitch Lund. Good refereeing. You know, when them kind of things happen, the job of the referee is not to almost decide a winner and a loser. It's to de-escalate the situation and make sure that it doesn't continue into the game. And hopefully through 2 yellow cards that is what will happen. We can continue the game with 11v11. Now we'll get back underway here with Joe Cummings for the away side. He'll take a free kick some 5 yards inside of his own half, far from the right hand side, pretty much bang on the throwing line. Does lump it in towards the box. It's a poor delivery, to be honest. It falls real short. And Becker does well to take a touch and keep possession for the away side. Played into the channel. Can Nixon keep it in? He cannot. He can actually. He does really well to win a corner off of Staunton. And it'll be a corner on the far hand side. It'll be taken by Sam McClintock. Similar to Pollock in the first half, himself and McClintock just buzzing around, making things happen for the away side. They have been the biggest threats to either goal. McClintock does deliver well, right-footed in towards the 6-yard box. Drops now for Mbeka. Mbeka, left foot, plays it into the box. It's a scramble for Avenue, and they do manage to get it out through a combination of Richmond and Spencer. Preston looked to make a bit of a striker's tackle there and does give away another free kick. 20, maybe 30 yards out on the far right-hand side. Referee wants it taken a bit more central. Yeah, it's far too far out for somebody to really strike, so it will be delivered again by McClintock. It's going to be floated in, I would imagine. McClintock does strike and does hit it towards goal, and Sykes Kenworthy momentarily spilt that. And thankfully for him, nobody was really following it in for any rebounds. He manages to get a hold of it at the second time of asking. Avenue get us back underway. Boston have started this half quite well, to be honest. And here's Preston now for Avenue on the attack, looking to transition quickly. Preston cuts inside, gives it back to Fielding. Fielding takes a touch and strikes. And it's blocked well by Mbeka. It breaks for Preston. Here's Doherty. Doherty with a back heel to a Dunstan. A Dunstan will be able to chip it in. And it's back out to Fielding. And Fielding slices and out for a goal kick to the away side. Good moment for Avenue. They broke quickly. Good pass by Fielding over to the left-hand side, but on the switch to Preston. Long goes long from the goal kick for the away side. Fielding kind of slices at it and it breaks now for Pollock. Pollock's got options. He plays it into the channel. Staunton should be able to deal with this. Checks away really well. Does well to, rather than just put it straight out for a throw-in. Took a bit of bravery. Preston looking to flick the ball away from his man and unfortunately carries out for a throw-in. Good attempt by Preston. Certainly not wanting to just back into the defender. It will be a throw-in now taken by Nixon. Nixon plays it back inside and it's broken nicely for Fielding. Fielding gets his head up and goes across to Dunstan. Dunstan with his head up. Got options inside, gives it into Richmond. Richmond plays it left-footed back to Fielding. Fielding has to check away from Wright and give it back to Haven. Oh, that's a foul. Surely. All day that's a foul. Keenan Ferguson complains, however, there's real no doubt about that. And Avenue win a free kick halfway inside the Boston half. Spencer and Staunton stood over the free kick for Avenue. Certainly going to be delivered in. Spencer runs over it. Staunton will deliver. It's a good delivery in towards the 6-yard box. And has that gone out for a corner? It has. And Avenue will have another attempt to deliver set piece. Good cross by Staunton was that. Well delivered in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Come on, the Avenue. Let's find the route back into this game. We do like late goals. We like late winners. Staunton once again with the delivery. Left-footed, in-swinger. In towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Haven gets there first, but is in challenge with Mbeka, and it's managed to be cleared by the away side. But Dunstan underneath the clearance. It's played back in. Can Haven get there? It's spilt, and unfortunately for Avenue, Sam Long is able to just get hands on the ball. Mitch Lund just holding his hamstring. I would be surprised if Mitch Lund can run that off, but he's jogging back towards his defensive position, holding the back of his right hamstring. Dunstan underneath the long ball from Boston. It breaks now for Richmond, and Mbeka gets there first. Well won by Mbeka. Been really impressed with his performance in the central midfield role today. Played really well, the ex-Guiseley man. Richland doesn't seem to be... He's just still shaking it off. Avenue not really with many options of defenders on the bench, but certainly are able to chop and change it around. Bring Fielding back into the midfield, maybe bring somebody into the midfield in replacement of him. Preston now putting the Boston backline under pressure, and it's Ben Pollock clears it straight out for another Avenue throw-in, and Avenue will make a substitution quite early on in this second half, and it will be Will Longbottom. He's changed games before, and it will be Mitch Lund who comes off. So that moment of holding that hamstring does look as if it's going to finish Mitch Lund's game here today. Only found himself back in the starting lineup tonight, struggling with something there. Mark Bauer seeing that, needing to make an early change. So Longbottom will find himself on the left. I think that'll bring Fielding back into the defence somehow. But to start with, it looks like we're going to stay exactly the same. Longbottom's going to go further forward, and that will make us a little bit more attacking. Doherty offside, unfortunately. Yeah, so as we look at the lineup now, Staunton will be an out-and-out left-back. Haven and Lancaster will play alongside each other in central defence, and Dunstan will play at right back. Longbottom at the moment holding the left wing back position, but I can imagine that he will be more left midfield. Preston, it's more 4-4-2 now. Old style 4-4-2. Preston maybe just picking up more of a right wing role and allowing Doherty to be more of an out and out number 9. We'll see how it develops anyway as the second half continues. Some 15 minutes into this second half. Still Avenue 0, Boston 1. Doherty wins a flick on, and it's dealt with well by Cummings, and out for another throw-in for the for the home side. Sorry. Back underway from Staunton. Staunton chests it down. Got options around him, but does check back onto his left foot and out for another throw-in. He had Spencer screaming at him. Make the pass. Inside, but ignored by Staunton on that occasion. Haven now picks up the ball from the throw-in. Lancaster can carry out from the back. Fielding now, looking to make things happen a bit quicker. He spreads the play quickly in towards Dunstan, who was looking to make the overlap in behind Ferguson. Unfortunately, the pass wasn't accurate enough from Fielding and goes all the way through to Sam Long, who's not really had much to do. Goes long. Now does Sam Long. Haven underneath, wins the header, does well. Richmond and Spencer in battle in the midfield. Ferguson picks up the ball for the away side. Dunstan should be able to carry it out for a throw-in, and he can. Halfway inside the Avenue half. Fielding looks as a short option. He's got time on the ball. Just play it back to Haven. Hopefully no more injury concerns for Luca Haven now that Mitch Lund has also gone off. Lancaster carries the ball forward and lumps it in towards Doherty. Doherty with a nice first touch, brings the ball down, does well, shields the ball well. And it's actually won really well by Pollock at the back. Wright does really well to turn away from Lancaster. But Dunstan helping Lancaster out. And they end up winning the ball back. They did really well between them there. Dunstan helping his centre-back out. Brad Doherty doing so well, so strong for not a natural target man. Richmond gets the ball out of the crowded space in towards Staunton. Staunton will be able to keep that in. Brad Doherty did fantastically well there with his back to goal, keeping the ball. Ball's now broken for Scott Pollock, who's had far less of an influence in this second half. Avenue have certainly upped the tempo. It's been a far more impressive half than they managed to display first half. Unfortunately, Richmond had managed to keep the ball away from Mbeka there, but it does bounce off him and out for another away throw-in on the far inside, halfway inside the Boston half. Plenty of options on the bench for Avenue to change this in the next 25 minutes or so. Boston have been really limited to very little in this second half so far. Avenue will be the happier of the two teams at the start of this second half. Fielding goes left-footed across to Dunstan. Dunstan's got options in Doherty, ignores him and goes back to Fielding. Fielding comes across to Spencer. Spencer just inside the Boston half, gives it into Preston. Just looking to open spaces. Fielding checks back towards his left and then goes back towards his right and goes right-footed all the way across to Dunstan. Good pass by Fielding. Dunstan now has got options. Preston gets himself back on side. Puts back inside, does well. Slides and managed to just get it back to Fielding. Fielding across to Spencer. Good pressure by Avenue. Doing it further up the pitch. Putting Boston under real pressure. Good tackle on Staunton. Not natural for him to be skipping past players. And here's Pollock. He's carried the ball a long, long way and he carries on. And eventually Richmond manages to kind of crowd him out. And Pollock looks tired. Good turn away from Longbottom. Longbottom now has got time. Put a foot on the ball. Can he deliver? Cummings has put him under pressure and he's left with an option of Spencer to go back to. Spencer cuts back inside to Fielding. Fielding gets his head up, gives it to Richmond. Richmond into Dunstan. Can Dunstan find a cross? He can. It gives it to Richmond. It's build up, but no end product at the moment. Good touch inside to Preston. Preston looks to cross and out for a corner. Oh no, it's a throw-in, sorry. It didn't quite. It's in the blind spot. Apologies. Lancaster does well. Straight back underway. Avenue just looking to keep the pressure going. Dunstan checks away from his man, away from Mbeka. Dunstan chips it in. Great cross! And it's blocked on the line pretty much. Couple of yards out. Good delivery by Dunstan. No foul given there against Wright. And Avenue can carry on building up ahead of steam. There's a player down on the 6-yard box. Avenue don't care. They're just dealing with it. And here it's crossed in by long bottom back post. So Dunstan heads it back across and it comes out to Haven. The last player that you'd want that to fall to it, in all truth. And it goes some 30 yards over the bar and out for a goal kick. There is Boston players fallen everywhere. You have Mbeka down. You have a couple of players in the box down. Most of them finding their way to the feet now. Can't make out who it is that's down at the moment for the away side. He was down in the build-up to that attack and found himself needing to get to his feet quickly to not allow the home side to be onside so deep. We'll just have a break in play momentarily. There's the... I can't make out who it is, but he's receiving treatment nonetheless. We're 20 minutes into the second half now. Avenue just taking on some fluids in this breaking play. It's still Avenue 0, Boston 1. For those of you that aren't watching and just listening to this commentary, the World Cup update so far: France 0, Denmark 0. And the rest of the Conference North, we have a quick look while this breaking play is still going on. Actually, we're just about to get back underway. Been any updates in the second half? Banbury have found a goal to put themselves in front against Chorley. Curzon Ashton have found a third at home against Telford, so Telford definitely not taking any points from that game today. You wouldn't imagine. Hereford find themselves behind at home now against Darlington, 2-1 down. Gloucester have found a goal away at Kidderminster as well. A couple of away wins today so far. A couple of away leads. Fielding chips it into the channel as we're back underway. Sam Long is there first. Able to roll it out to Cummings. Boston back on an attack here. It's played in well. It's dealt with well by Fielding again. Fielding's had a good game in the midfield for Avenue today. Does run the ball out of possession there, unfortunately, and just gives it back to Boston. Wright finds the overlap. Will now break again for Jake Wright, the goal scorer in the first half. The goal that separates the two teams so far. And here's Ferguson for the away side. Back into McKinlock. McKinlock plays a nice ball inside. Cuts it back to the edge of the box where Wright was trying to get away from Haven. Wright cuts back inside. Defended really well by Gianluca Haven. Brad Doherty to the wrong side of the defender. And edge of the box, and Avenue under a lot of pressure here. Scott Pollock just managed to turn away from his man momentarily. Lancaster did really well to come and cover his defensive partner. Gianluca Avenue had kind of vacated the spot, and Avenue win a throw-in to alleviate some of the pressure. Extremely cold evening here at the Horsehall Stadium. I hardly feel my fingers. Doherty now brings the ball down for Avenue under pressure, severe pressure from two bodies. He's playing the ball on the floor. Referee doesn't give anything. Ball breaking for Fielding, and Fielding able to play it straight into the channel. He's onside here is Preston. Preston backing into the defender. Oh, what's he shooting from that angle for? And straight out for a goal kick to the away side. Preston had done really well to kind of wriggle away from Mbeka, but then took a shot from a strange angle, which really was never going to trouble the keeper, and out for a goal kick. Sam Long now just take a moment to settle himself and allow his teammates to get up the pitch and take a goal kick. It will go long. It's a good kick. It's a long kick in towards Wright, and Wright does win the header. It's dealt with well by Lancaster. Staunton, sorry, up and high away. In towards Doherty. Richmond wins the seconds and then the thirds. Drops it into a Dunstan. Dunstan under pressure from Ferguson goes back to Lancaster. And Lancaster can knock it into the channel. Nobody there though, and it's taken down well by Pollock and lumped in towards the midfield. Dunstan wins a header under pressure from Crawford and out for a throw-in on halfway to the away side. Come on, the Avenue. Want to see an equaliser. Want to see a route back into this game. There's still time to win this game. Never mind just finding a point, but the first goal is important. The next goal is vital in this game. It'll be very tough for the Avenue to find their way back into this game if they do concede next. However, we have shown earlier on in the season, against Curzon Ashton especially, that we can find a way back into the game late in the second half. And here is a man that can do it. Jacob Blythe up off the bench. And it'll be a direct like-for-like replacement with Brad Doherty, who was just complaining momentarily about a knock to his foot. And he does just explain it to Bauer and Bosch on the side. Jacob Blythe taking up the spot. Up front. Up. It looks like he's going to be playing directly alongside Preston, who is keeping a very central position rather than a wide position, as we maybe look to go more 4-4-2. Jacob Blythe certainly can find a goal in this game, though, and I think he gives the defenders something different to deal with. Not really had to deal with a target man like striker for the first 70 minutes of this game. Staunton now carries the ball forward and drops it into Longbottom. Longbottom looking for an option, goes right-footed all the way across to a Dunstan. Good first touch by the fullback. A Dunstan now fronts Ferguson up, does really well, and it's into Preston, I believe. No, it's Richmond. Fantastic strike. Great work by Lucas Dunstan. Drove the ball away from Keenan Ferguson, crossed it into the 6-yard box. Richmond takes one touch out of his feet, high into the net. Simon Richmond, I think that's his first goal of the season. Fantastic strike, high up into the top of the net. Avenue won, Boston won. They find a way back into this game, and the final 20 minutes now allow Avenue to go on in hunt of a winner. Fantastic from Avenue. Great work by Lucas Dunstan. Great assist. Huge work by the fullback. Great switch of play by Will Longbottom as well, it has to be said. Lucas Dunstan just stretching off a bit of cramp here. Did fantastically well there. Fantastic work by the fullback. Come on, the Avenue. 1-1. Back underway here now. And Fielding able to clear early. Straight away, Jacob Blythe making a difference, occupying defenders in different ways than Brad Doherty or Preston have been able to do in the opening 60-so minutes of this game. Avenue on the attack again here, Longbottom. Able to cross left-footed into Spencer. Spencer defends the ball well from the on-rushing defender. Goes back to Staunton. Staunton won't deliver from deep. He'll give it back to Longbottom. Longbottom will cross now in towards the 6-yard box. Oh, no, it's just snapped away from Preston and cleared away well by Boston. Boston under real pressure here. Oh, such a soft free kick. The referee got in the way of play. Spencer tried to get around him. Accidentally trips the Boston player and he gives a cheap free kick, even though the first touch had kind of given the ball away. Anyway, second goal from Simon Richmond, I'm told, in the studio here. Second or first, it doesn't matter. Fantastic strike by the midfielder. Did really well. His first touch was fantastic. Just took the ball out of his feet and allowed him to strike it high into the top of the net. The Wayside getting a substitution ready here. Fielding. Poor ball by Fielding. Looked to set Preston away, but didn't put any height on it. Dunstan gets there first. Fantastic work by the fullback. Mark Bauer goes absolutely ballistic with the linesman. Clear as day that the clearance by Dunstan took a touch off of the defender, or off of the Boston man, should I say, and out for a throw-in. Anyway, the linesman has given it the opposite way. We do have a quick break in play here as the away side, like I say, we're just on the in the process of making a substitution, and it is Janai Gordon who comes on. Looks to be setting up on the left-hand side for the away side. I didn't see who it was that came off. It might have been Jake Wright, actually. I believe it was Jake Wright, the goal scorer, who came off. Blythe does well, brings the ball down. It breaks now for Pollock, who gives it to Alex Brown, who's come on at some point as well. So they've got a little bit more natural width. Have Boston now. Players all over the place, things happening all over the place. Boston's intensity has now turned up. They want to go and try and find a winner of their own here. So it looks as if Alex Brown has come on for the away side as well, who's more of a natural left back. Janai Gordon also has come on, which looks like for the goal scorer, Jake Wright. Dunstan clears well. Preston should be able to get underneath this. He can. In challenge with Cummins, does really well, Preston. Turns away from his man, and it doesn't break for Avenue. Longbottom will put Sam Long under pressure, and it's cleared away well by the goalkeeper. Haven underneath it. Platt underneath that, and then a header back towards Preston. A bit of a head tennis from both sides. Longbottom should get there first, and he does. Staunton able to put a foot on the ball, carry the ball over halfway. Both teams just really erratic. Both teams wanting to find the winner. Great work there by the away midfielder. Carries it over halfway. Oh, fantastic work by Lancaster. Oh, fantastic work by Lancaster. Takes on 3 players and then gives it away. Both teams just can't put a foot on the ball. Fielding just calms it down momentarily. Gives it across to Longbottom. And Staunton able to put a foot on the ball. Gives it to Fielding. Good work by Fielding. That into Richmond, the goal scorer, the equaliser. A Dunstan into Blythe. Blythe looks over his shoulder. Gives it back to a Dunstan. Dunstan forced to go all the way back to Fielding, who then goes all the way back to Sykes Kenworthy. The game very, very finely balanced. Both teams capable of finding a winner for sure. Dunstan gets there first. He's had a fantastic half as the young fullback. Richmond drops it back off for Dunstan. Dunstan just gets caught in possession by the substitute Brown. Referee shakes his head and says nothing given there. Alex Brown was looking for it against the Dunstan, who had done well to regain possession. Longbottom's offside on the far side of the pitch. Linesman giving it Mark Bauer, frustrated with that one. He's got the whole line to look at and unfortunately allows himself to be caught offside. We're approaching the final moments of this game now. We must be in the last 15 minutes here at the Horsfall Stadium. Bradford Park Avenue 1, Boston 1. Boston scoring in the first half through Jake Wright. Avenue finding an equaliser some 10 minutes ago through Simon Richmond after great work by Lucas Dunstan. They've played well this half of Bradford Park Avenue. They've defended well. They've limited the away side to very little in the way of chances in this second half. There's not really been one that I can remember. Odd corner that the away side have had. But apart from that, it's been all the home side. Shown the resilience that they've shown all season to find a way back into the game. Sykes Kenworthy now will take a goal kick to get us back underway. Is there a late winner in store? Blythe up with Pollock. Oh, that's a foul. Surely it breaks now for Spencer. Spencer carries it into the box. Checks back out to Richmond. Another strike. Actually, it was... Yeah, what? No, sorry. It was Preston who checked onto his right foot. Struck really well, but unfortunately for Avenue, it was straight down the keeper's throat. Keeper did well to get down and take it well. There's only one side that looks like they want a winner, though. It certainly looks like there's only one side that are capable of delivering a winner right now, and that's the home side. Gordon with a touch here on the right-hand side for the away side, the substitute. It's won well by Longbottom, and it's played back off the defender, and Avenue win another throw-in. Just take a moment with it, no need to rush every attack. Avenue really look like they have the belief to go and win this game now as we approach the last 10 minutes here at the Horsfall. It's cleared away well by Lancaster, and it's dealt with then by Mbeka. A bit of back and forth through both teams. Preston looks to get onto the flick on by Blythe, puts the keeper under pressure, and Sam Long does shank it out towards the midfield, where Richmond's managed to pick it up for the home side. Haven just puts a foot on the ball, able to play it back to Sykes Kenworthy, and Avenue going to launch a proper attack through. Hell of a long ball, that one. Drops nicely into the midfield with Richmond. Longbottom takes the ball down, left-footed, gives it to Staunton. Staunton halfway inside the Boston half, gets his head up and does deliver from deep. Into a Blythe! 2-1 to Avenue! What a finish by Jacob Blythe! Huge header, what a cross by Reece Staunton. From deep, only halfway inside the Boston half. Left-footed, whipped in towards the 6-yard box. Jacob Blythe with a big header. He isn't missing from there, isn't Jacob Blythe? And he does take the top goal scorer position from Jamie Spencer. Fantastic header from Jacob Blythe, the substitute. The substitutions have made a huge difference for the home side. Will Longbottom and Jacob Blythe especially. Fantastic delivery by Ray Staunton though to find Jacob Blythe. And Avenue do find a way to take the lead. Less than 10 minutes to go here at the Horsfall Stadium. Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston United 1. There's too long to go here at the Horsfall Stadium. I can't deal with it, folks. Come on, the Avenue. This situation, at half-time, we found ourselves 9 points behind Boston in the live table. We now find ourselves 3 points behind Boston in the live table. Come on, the Avenue. Keep this going. Janai Gordon straight away with a strike from the kickoff. Boston straight on the attack, lumped the ball into a dangerous position. The ball broke nicely for Janai Gordon, the substitute, who struck pretty tamely across the box. Sykes Kenworthy could see it go out calmly for a goal kick. Whoa. Need to just catch my breath, folks. Avenue are actually going to make a substitution here. It'll be Harrison Hopper, who we know is energetic. He's got the legs. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a Dunstan who comes off. He's been complaining with cramp for the last 10 minutes or so. Since pretty much the equaliser, to be honest. Staunton lost the ball long and it will go out for throw-in. Pretty much by the corner flag. Referee making the gesture that it's definitely a throw-in. It's not a goal kick. They should be able to hold them in there for a period of time now. The home side. Boston have not shown anything in the second half. Avenue have deserved this. We can be honest when we certainly deserve to either lose or be behind in games, but this half has been a good performance by Avenue. They've found a route back into the game. They've changed things. They've picked up the pace. They've picked up the pace of the movement of the ball. They've found different ways to break Boston down, and they've made chances this half. Been an impressive half from the home side. Boston have been limited to absolutely nothing really in the way of chances. Sykes Kenworthy's had nothing to do this half. Harrison Hopper will now be coming on, and it will be Lucas Dunstan. Clap for that man at the fullback. Fantastic assist from Lucas Dunstan. Harrison Hopper takes up the position at right back, which he has played on a number of occasions this season while Lucas Dunstan was coming back from injury. And he played very well there. Just fresh legs, I think. Lucas complaining of cramp a couple of times. The boys being semi-pro, not a lot of training. Lots of games in the Conference North coming thick and fast. That's what a squad's for. Mike Bauer has done extremely well at running through that squad today and getting the best out of it. It's a good ball delivered in. It's Janai Gordon. Heads into a dangerous position on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Sykes Kenworthy is able to get there first and pounce on the ball, just kill a few seconds. It's going to feel like a long last 10-15 minutes or so here, folks. I'm not sure exactly how long is to go. We reckon it is around 10 minutes. Sykes Kenworthy lost it high into the air and Richmond wins a flick on, but Preston kind of gets caught on his heels and the ball does return to the possession of the away side. Sam Long is able to go long in towards, I believe it was Crawford, but it goes out for a throw-in for Avenue halfway inside their own half, and Boston in the need of doing something different are going to turn to the bench once more, and it is Will Atkinson, a name familiar with Bradfordians, ex-Bradford City, ex-Hull City, I believe. Will Atkinson, and it isn't Becker who's come off for the away side, who was fantastic in the first half. Barely seen him in the second half, and I would put that down to the change in play from the home side. Avenue certainly managed to limit his involvement in the second half. Richmond now with the big header in the midfield. Preston takes the ball down, does really well. Keeps possession for Avenue. Spencer gets a foot on the ball. Preston, and gives it all the way back to Haven. Back to Sykes Kenworthy. Just eking minutes and seconds out of the game now. Go long in towards Blythe. Blythe puts no pressure on the ball as to not get caught offside, and Avenue do win a throw-in. halfway inside the Boston half. Eat the seconds out. Pass the thrower on. Pass the ball on to somebody else. Only one yellow card, I believe, for an Avenue body in this half, so they can afford maybe 1 or 2 through time wasting. I don't mind to see it when you need it. When it's against you, it's infuriating. Longbottom does well. 1-2, and it just goes out for a Boston throw-in off of Blythe, I believe it was. Avenue 2, Boston 1. Longbottom underneath the header. Blythe does well, wins the duel, and it goes out for another Avenue throw-in. Every throw-in celebrated like another goal, folks. As it eked down the seconds. Avenue have been good at this late in games when they've been leading, it has to be said. I don't want to jinx it, but they have been good at holding on to leads late on and just killing the clock. Cummings lost the ball high into the air in clearance. It gets put back into a good spot for Avenue. It will go out for a goal kick for the away side. Sam Long will no doubt roll this out and look to go long to get Boston back on the attack, but they don't really have a target man. The presence up front are more quick-footed attackers. We've not seen Scott Pollock in this half at all, who was such a threat in that first half. Lancaster underneath the header, it bounces over him, goes all the way to Hopper, and he is caught nastily by, I believe it was Crawford, who was taking up the position up front. Harrison Hopper does fantastically well to win that. I don't think he was caught quite as badly as maybe the scream will have suggested. He's been told to get to his feet by the referee. The referee felt that as well. But nonetheless, we have just killed a few moments. Mark Bauer allowed a moment of opportunity to just give instruction to Rhys Staunton. Hopper does limp away. Maybe he was caught a little bit worse than what I first thought. Staunton tells Sykes Kenworthy just to hold on a moment while he gets back into position. Sykes Kenworthy will just chip it in long towards Blythe. Blythe takes it down extremely well and wins the seconds. Lancaster able to get there first. Hopper with the clearance, and it will go all the way through to Sam Long. Very likely to be a theme of the rest of the game, folks. Avenue win 50-50 and it bounces through to Long. Avenue putting good effective pressure on the away side. Good work by Boston, however, to break the press. Haven should get there first. He does. Gives it back to Staunton. Staunton clears. Blythe's offside, so he has to kind of leave that to run through to Cummings. Preston puts the defence under pressure. Good work by Boston. Able to turn out here with Platt, and Platt goes wide. It's played into the channel. It should be won by Haven. Haven smashes the attacker. He should have got there first. He's going to receive a yellow card for that. And it's a free kick right on the edge of the box. Thankfully, it's just to the right-hand side of what would be considered a dangerous area for a good free kick taker. This won't be an angle at which you'd see a shot, I wouldn't believe. It'll be a delivery from this angle. Dangerous times for Avenue, though, as they look to hold on to this lead. I want to look at the live league table, but I just daren't. Come on, the Avenue. This will be delivered right-footed. It's McClintock. McClintock lost in, and it's headed over the bar. Dangerous moments there. Cummings found the header, won the header on the 6-yard box, and it drifted over the bar, maybe a yard or so over. Dangerous moments. Disappointing to see a Boston winner of that header, really. But it was a good delivery by McClintock. Cummings. Sykes Kenworthy just taking his time about the goal kick, and he does now go long in towards Blythe. Blythe gets there first, but it goes out for an away throw-in. Taken quickly by Alex Brown. Brown gets it into a dangerous area. Lancaster and Hopper in pursuit of Crawford, and it does go out for another corner to the away side. Boston likely to have one more opportunity at least before we see full time here. The home fans just holding their breath as we hold on to 3 points here. Huge 3 points it would be for the home side It'll be delivered in now. It's whipped in well, and it's headed away well by Jacob Blythe, and furthermore by Harrison Hopper. Not fully cleared though. Reece Staunton won't get there first, and it's kept in Boston pressure by Crawford. Platt manages to get away from his man. Platt, can he find a cross? He can, and out for an Avenue throw in. Let's go. Come on, the Avenue. Reece Staunton just taking his time about the throwing halfway inside the Avenue half. No rush to get on with this. He'll look to use a line. The referee tells him to get on with it. And Staunton takes probably 10 yards out of where he should have taken it from, and it's won well. And here's Preston. Preston does really well to keep the ball away from his man. And Blythe couldn't keep possession for Avenue. Staunton will be left to clear this, and he does. Oh, he clears it poorly, though, and it breaks now for Boston. Done really well, but Harrison Hopper and Richmond did really well to win possession. Harrison Hopper kind of runs himself into trouble, and the possession does turn over once more for Boston. Here's a substitute once more, Gordon. It's won well again by Longbottom. Avenue desperately looking to keep on the possession. Fantastic footwork by Preston. And Preston does go right for it. Oh, it's not going to get there. It's a terrible ball. He did so well, and then gave it away to Alex Brown. Fantastic tackle again by Harrison Hopper. Alex Brown looks as if he wanted to take on everybody there, and Sykes Kenworthy just leaves it to the last second to pick the ball up and take it away from the attacker for Boston. Small break in play here as I think it's Janai Gordon, the substitute, needs a bit of treatment for the away side. Can't be long left here at the Horsfall Stadium now for Avenue to hold on. Avenue taking the opportunity to take on a few fluids, and that is the board for added time. We have 4 minutes of added time here at the Horsfall Stadium. That means 52 on my clock when we can expect the full-time whistle. We are going to have probably a little bit of extra added because of the injury here to Janai Gordon right at the start of the additional time. Come on, the Avenue. They can find their way to the final whistle here in front. Still Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston 1. It started with a drop ball for Sykes Kenworthy, and he will be able to pick it back up. Good. Just eke out another few seconds. Janai Gordon does come back onto the pitch. He's still limping though, which again is advantage Avenue. Sykes Kenworthy goes high into the air. Blythe is underneath it. Pollock now for the away side. It's not kept in by Harrison Hopper. Yeah, Boston throwing bang on halfway. Brown will take it. It goes down the line in towards Gordon once more. Lancaster's beaten to it, and he does win a free kick against Janai Gordon. Like every throw-in that's won, every free kick celebrated. Come on, the Avenue. Just minutes to go now here at Horsfall. Depending on today's results, we might be out of the bottom 4. Even with the result, we know that we go into next week's game against Buxton knowing that a win will take us out of the bottom 4. Huge result this, and only 3 points behind today's visitors in Boston. Sykes Kenworthy will go long once more, from just outside of his box, in towards Preston, who's offside, unbelievably. Sam Long will have to put the ball down before being able to take this some 7 or 8 yards outside of his box. He sends everybody forward. Sam Long goes long in towards Janai Gordon. Haven gets there first. Fantastic work by the experienced centre-back, and Blythe can put Pollock under pressure. Does well, gives it into Cummings. Cummings gets a foot on the ball. Lofts it in, and Hopper just gets a foot there first, but it does now break for Scott Pollock. Brown will deliver from deep, and Sykes Kenworthy comes and catches and pounces on the ball. Just allows himself to eke out another 10 or so seconds while he gets himself to his feet. Alex Brown threatened with a good delivery there, and Sykes Kenworthy were able to claim on the edge of his 6-yard box. He will put the ball down, checks behind himself first, and goes long into the channels. It's dealt with well by Pollock and cleared further. Staunton able to just get there first and loft it back into Blythe. The flick on it wasn't in the direction of Preston, goes through once more to Sam Long. 51 minute here. I said 52. Let's go to 53 probably, given the injury to Janai Gordon. Less than 2 minutes to go though. Surely now. Staunton clears and it goes. He manages to clear it as high into the stands as possible. Looked like it was actually going to clear the stand completely. And the Avenue fans hold on to the ball. Just eke out them minutes. Eke out them seconds further. Eventually, Boston managed to retrieve the ball. They're going to be travelling home with no points here as it stands. Staunton with the header away. Back the way it came from, but it breaks for Ferguson. Ferguson falls to the floor and wins a cheap free kick. Nothing in that at all. And unfortunately for Longbottom, he's conceded a free kick some 10 or 15 yards out of the box on the far and right hand side. Again, not a position where you would expect a shot, but certainly a good area to be able to deliver one last hopeful ball into the box. Come on, Avenue, just keep attention for another few seconds. It is literally seconds left on the clock. Avenue 2, Boston 1. It'll be delivered by McClintock one more time. It's driven in and it's headed away well by Jacob Blythe. And that's the final whistle! Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston United 1. They found themselves behind early in the first half to a Jake Wright goal. We're celebrating in the gantry, folks. Fantastic result for the Avenue. Jake Wright found himself with space in the box in the first half to give Boston United a half-time lead. However, Avenue found a way back into the game. Fantastic assist by Lucas Dunstan to set up Simon Richmond for the first goal, for the equaliser, before Jacob Blythe off the bench. Fantastic cross by Rhys Staunton from halfway. Whipped in Jacob Blythe with a fantastic header on the 6-yard box to take all the spoils and all 3 points here from the Hawthorne Stadium. Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston United 1. We will have a quick look at the live league table. As soon as we took the 3 points, why will we not? Let's have a quick look. And we will run through the latest scores. I think we finished a little bit earlier than most of the fixtures throughout the Conference North. However, I will just run through the latest so far. File 2, Alfreton Town 0, Banbury United 3, Chorley 0, Blythe Spartans 1, Brackley Town 1, Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston United 1, Curzon Ashton 3, Telford United 0, Hereford 1, Darlington 2, Kettering 0, Southport 0. They're all latest scores. Kidderminster 0, Gloucester 1, that's a full time. Leamington 0, Peterborough Sports 2, that's a full time. Scarborough 1, Chester 3. Scarborough do lose for the first time at home in over a year. And as I said earlier, postponed game Kings Lynn and Spennymoor Town. The live league table. Let's have a quick look. Bradford Park Avenue find themselves on 19 points in 21st position, in front of Blythe Spartans on 18, Farsley on 16, and Telford very much rooted to the bottom on 7. Kettering and Buxton, the next two teams in front of us, on 21 and 20 points respectively. We find ourselves going into the Buxton game knowing that a win will take us out of the bottom 4. It will take us out of the bottom 4. Fantastic work from Mark Bauer and the team today. Fantastic result. We'll finish here. Myself, Jason Booker, live on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Bradford Park Avenue 2, Boston United 1.